Howdy and welcome to the Confidence Through Health podcast. I'm Jerry Snyder. As an elite level athlete, owner of All In Health and Wellness, and author of the book Confidence Through Health, my goal is to help you achieve your goals and dreams using health as the conduit to get there. I want to say thank you to Social Media Cowboys for sponsoring this week's episode of the Confidence Through Health podcast. If you need help with a website, if you need social media needs for your business, if you need help with AdWords, SEO, all those things that you know you should be doing but you are too busy to do or you're too confused about, they are the experts that you need in your corner. If you're interested in launching a podcast such as mine, they help me edit my podcast and do a fantastic job making sure that all of the technical side of it is handled and we launch a nice, neat, edited podcast episode each week. So I want to thank Social Media Cowboys for their continued sponsorship of the Confidence Through Health podcast. You can find them at socialmediacowboys.com, or you can find them as well with other sponsors at confidencethroughhealth.com. Howdy and welcome back to the Confidence Through Health podcast. This is your host, Jerry Snyder. In this episode, number 130, by the way, we talk with Alyssa Couture. She is an author and entrepreneur in the fashion world, but has connected fashion to a healthy lifestyle and to being healthy. And her book is called Healthy Fashion, The Deeper Truths. We talk a lot about fabrics, types of fabrics, how they affect your body, how they affect your skin, how they affect your aura, your energy. And one of the most important pieces of it is that I learned in this episode is the pH level and how it can affect your pH level, which if you've listened to other podcast episodes I've done, then you know that having a higher pH level is a good thing for your immunity, for your ability to fight off disease and viruses. And therefore, when clothing brings your pH down, that's a big no-no. And that's a big issue. And so we talk about all those things. We talk about just the need for knowledge when it comes to knowing what to wear, when to wear for your health, for your physical health, your emotional health, your mental health, all of those things. So it's a little different from what we normally talk about in regards to the idea of clothing being part of your health, but it definitely is, as I learned through this episode. And so I think you're going to learn some things as well. So without any further ado, here is Alyssa Couture and the author of Healthy Fashion, The Deeper Truths. So welcome, Alyssa, to the Confidence Through Health podcast.
Thank you so much, Jerry, for having me.
So give us a little bit about this. So this is a topic that's a little bit different from what I normally do, which is, I think, important, though, because fashion is an important piece of health. And, initially I thought, obviously, it's an important part of mental health and emotional health, because if you feel good in your clothes, you're going to feel better. But there's also a piece of how it, how the clothes interact with your body and that health piece of it, which I think is interesting. But before we get into all that, tell us a little bit about your background and why fashion is important to you.
Yes, absolutely. So I have been involved in fashion for about 15 to 20 years. It started when I was a teenager, drawing fashion illustrations in a little notebook.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I just had a love for fashion design. So I ended up going to the Academy of Art University for fashion design when I was a teenager, many, many years ago. And that kind of launched me into having a real strong connection with fashion, educating myself in all different types and forms of the fashion industry. But I knew that there was a piece still missing for me as a philosopher. Mm-hmm. I want to theorize about fashion and make it more advanced and improved.
Right.
So along with my education, I also have been in fashion retail, visual merchandising, retail management, styling for many, many years. And being with the customer and being able to connect with the actual consumer is actually, well, it was so much fun for me. Yeah. But it also made me learn. And down the road with my parallel work as an energy healer and living and working in ashrams and monasteries, that spiritual piece really came in when I thought of potentially writing a book about fashion for mind, body, spirit, and fashion for health.
Right.
Along with my interest in eco-sustainable fashion movements, that was also a strong piece. Back in 2015, I started a small handmade fashion brand called Alternative Fashion. I was selling at pop-up shops. I got into several talent shows and fashion shows and a talent show competition, Saks Fifth Avenue. So
Cool.
My taste in caliber of design really shined through when people were picking up my product, because what I was designing was something that was catering to the soul, catering to making people feel and look beautiful.
Right.
But still, the eco-sustainable piece was just not enough for me. So I wanted to bring in the health piece. And this is a collective energy. It's already happening on this planet with the health and wellness trend seeping into the fashion industry. It is slow, but it's definitely occurring. And there's many different markets that we can market fashion for health. And as you had said, it's very complex and there's so many different directions you can take. So really, fashion brands all over the world are already producing healthy fashion in one form or another.
Yeah.
But the idea of activating the consciousness of our wardrobe for that healing activation and bringing enlightenment into our conscious wardrobes.
Right. And it's more than just like for somebody that's not really a fashion person to think, okay, well, you know, when I hear fashion for health, my immediate is, okay, well, you know, what you wear when you exercise because you're trying to be healthy. And so it's like you want to wear the right clothes, you know, for the environment that you're in, that kind of thing. But, you know, what you're talking about and what you've researched in put in your book is more about like the actual fabrics of the clothes and how they interact with your body. And talk a little bit about like that movement and how important that is for what the fabric is you're wearing is just as important as like the food that you're putting in your body and where it comes from.
Yes. So I am, as an energy healer, I'm very sensitive to materials in general. So I can pick up on the energy of the materials. And what they have found through research in India is they would consider plant-based fibers more sattvic and pure, and polyester synthetic fibers as more tamasic, toxic, tamasic. And reason being is the synthetic has lack of breathability,
right?
And also it has a slightly acidic pH, and cellulose fibers are more pH balanced for the body. You know, it's not going to threaten our lives to wear polyester, but it's definitely going to be able to strengthen our aura and our energy when we choose to wear plant-based fibers. And personally speaking, I still wear some polyester. It's very hard and difficult to get away from polyester.
Sure.
But most of my garments are predominantly plant-based, especially the first layer garments. And activewear is like booming with the polyester industry. 90% of all activewear is synthetic. So
right.
In 90% of the entire fashion industry right now is synthetic, but we really have to stop cracking into the earth for this natural resource. And for one, two, our body is water-based.
Right.
So when we put the oil, the synthetic material on our body, we're kind of having some of a conflict with the rhythms.
Right.
Flows. There's so many things to be said, but I will add too that a basic example is when you go to the doctor and you have a yeast infection, they always tell you to wear plant-based underpants because the polyester underpants will make the yeast infection worse.
Right.
We're knowing too that when we place specific things on our body, back in the ancient times, the samurai warriors would dye their undergarments with indigo.
Mm-hmm.
The indigo dye would seep into the skin, into the bloodstream, to heal the wounds. So with your interest in the materials, we are getting closer to being able to be more and more plant-based, but it doesn't just happen with cotton and linen alone.
Right.
The textile industry has to usher in multiple different types of plants from multiple different types of climates. Cactus, for example, in the desert.
Oh, wow.
Cattails as the wild invasive weeds we could start using and cultivating. And seaweed in the ocean. All of these different types of plants are really going to actually support the body more and more, because it is not just the energetic nutritional frequency of the plant. There's also cosmetic fabrics that are being produced. In Europe, there is the lyocell, and they're treating the lyocell with seaweed powder and zinc powder.
Oh, wow.
So they're administering a vitamin through the fabric into the body, which to me is fascinating. And I think everybody can use a little more zinc.
Right. Well, and that's, one of the things that you mentioned is so true. And I've done multiple podcasts on this already, is the pH level and how that's important to your body, and in fighting illness and disease. And, if you're balanced, as opposed to most people that follow the standard American diet are going to be more on the acidic level with their pH. And so if you're absorbing from your clothes that you're wearing all day long more, acidic, then it's like you're never going to be able to find a way to actually really become healed, become healthy.
Exactly. It's not just the materials, it's the dyes and the treatments on the fabric that are acidic, and in some cases, researchers have said are carcinogenic.
Right.
So, juice where I've been sensitive to the materials simply because of a health issue.
Right.
So notice when you are sick, what materials and garments you're drawn to. Those are the types of materials you have to wear. And it's very tricky because with the synthetics, they're trying to mimic and imitate plant-based fibers.
Right.
You go into a store and I'm like, oh, this is totally cotton. And then you look at the fibers, it's 90% polyester. I'm like, no way.
Yep.
It's almost like really the advanced technology of synthetics. We really have to use that type of technology for plant-based fibers, really.
Yeah. No, that's so true. And then, on the emotional side, one of the things that I've heard many people talk about, and I believe it's true, is that a lot of people in America and in the Western world and the industrialized, where it's just go, go, go all the time, and you've got work, and your cell phone's always reminding you that you've got work going on. And so it's no longer like a 40-hour work week. It's this long, huge, continuous work week that, we've got decision fatigue, and that's a real thing. Is that like, I don't want to make a decision anymore. I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. And it's a mental issue. It's an emotional issue. And then this is more, in my impression, this is more something that affects women when it comes to fashion than men, because I know a lot of guys, being one myself, and like, we're like, a lot of times we don't care what we wear. We don't care what we look like. We just grab the next clean thing, put it on. And, is it appropriate from the standard of like business casual or whatever, and then go. Whereas, with women, I know there's a lot, because I'm married and I've got a wife who's like, I wore this last week. I can't wear this week. And and it's like, hold on, like, just wear it. It's clean, just wear it. Right. But that decision fatigue is a big thing that can play on your emotions when it comes to fashion. And so is there anything, like, I know I just brought up a whole like big, huge topic, but like, how do you address that? And like, how do you suggest that people like help with that, to help with their mental side of it?
No, I think that's a really important point that you brought up. And with your wife included, how this decision process of always trying to dress the part,
Mm-hmm.
always trying to look good and not wear multiple looks at multiple times. And I think there's a term now that we have to normalize wearing garments, repeating garments.
Right.
Normalize that. And when we look at the gurus and the sages that wear the single robe every single day,
right,
nonstop, or Karl Lagerfeld, for instance, he wore practically the same, the fashion designer, Karl Lagerfeld, he wore the same garment. Probably not, because he probably has like 30 of the same top or something.
Right.
He wore the same silhouette and look.
Yeah.
For many, many years, and he still looked modern.
Right.
And a lot of us, women and some men, we have to try to stay with the trends.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, whatever is in our wardrobe can be trendy. It can be modern. And when we have a Zen wardrobe where we don't have too much, that can pare down the decisions of what we wear. I mean, right now, personally, I would like to buy more garments and wear more looks.
Right.
But the thing is, I find too that being able to just sit with our clothing, and I'm one of those people, I'm sorry if I'm bouncing around.
No, you're good.
One of those people that wear like the same pairs of pants. I have literally like 30 pairs of leggings.
Yeah.
Just wear leggings and I'll just change the top.
Yeah.
But to me, it's ergonomic. These leggings are ergonomic to me. They support my body. There's a level of compression that I like on my legs.
Right.
It's just perfect. It's the perfect feeling. And I don't want to mess around with that. So when we find garments that are super ergonomic and that comfort the body, and whether it's the silhouette, the design details, the color, the material, then you will find that we don't have to go into the closet and change our garments over and over and not have to wear the same garment. But it is fashion, and your wife's correct. Your wife's correct. We want to dress and look great all the time. And that's where, too, renting fashion is a good way to recycle. Mm-hmm. And say, you want to go to an event and you have to buy a dress for it, but you don't want to just buy a dress for one time. You can rent. Renting is a good idea for the future of fashion. Yeah. You do mention an important point. And I would say, too, when we tap into the collective trends, we do find that it can be signature. Our wardrobe can be signature. We don't have to change all the time. Right. But decision making within the wardrobe, too, is stressful. It is really stressful. And we do have a dilemma here. That's why I call it Zen Wardrobe. It doesn't have to be minimal. You can have a walk-in closet, but having that Zen wardrobe in those precious ergonomic pieces that are going to truly benefit your body. Right. We'll tend to gravitate towards those, and then we can normalize repeat outfit. Right.
Well, it's like you bring up a good point that I think I've seen both in my wife and in other people, is that, like you said, like when you feel bad, you go and you're ill or whatever, you drift towards certain fabrics and certain clothings, and the cotton pajamas and the different things that you're like, oh, I just need to lay down for 4 hours or whatever it is. But the same thing when it's like, I need to go for a walk around the block. I'm going to change clothes because I want to be comfortable. And you go for the same, maybe not the same exact shirt or, shorts, but it's the same feel, the same fit every time, from that comfort and that, like, oh, this makes me feel good side of things.
Oh yeah, some activewear, minimal fashion, athleisure are some of the top trends, and they make the most money on Earth per year. And there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
It's ergonomic fashion. It's designed for the body. It's designed to make us feel and look good. So more and more brands are going to pick up on that trend, the athleisure, the minimal. And even in the luxury departments, you'll find a lot of the luxury apparel support the athleisure and activewear trends.
Yeah.
Reason being, it's luxurious to be comfortable.
Right.
We should all feel luxurious, and we don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on a garment. If we want to, we can. Sure. But we can spend $5 on a t-shirt, a cotton t-shirt, and it could be luxurious.
Right.
Based on how it's treating the body.
Well, and it doesn't even, like, the look externally doesn't have to do anything, and I think that's something we have to get past ourselves, is like, it doesn't really matter what I look like to other people when I'm wearing this, unless there's certain situations where, you're going to, a fancy dinner that's celebrating some, something to do. Okay, well, yeah, you're going to dress up a little bit, but if you're just going to the grocery store or out to run errands, it really doesn't matter what we look like from a fashion standpoint, as long as we're comfortable and feel good in the clothes, right? Is that what I'm picking up on? Yeah.
Exactly. And what I speak of, we can play our part in fashion, and, most of those eccentric people who are so-called anti-fashion are very fashionable. Right. And they make it in the magazines and streetwear fashion magazines, because it's some of that eccentricity of people's quirky wardrobes. Right. Is actually stylish and interesting and cool. So we really do have to promote mental health in fashion. And part of that is identifying the archetypes within and how it is expressed through our fashion. And, a lot of athletes tap into the hero adventurer archetype. Right. And what they wear is tapping into those types of archetypes versus the stereotype. When we look at an athlete's garment, we could say, oh, he's just a jock. Well, actually, let's take another look and see that he's actually representing symbols and expressions of the adventurer archetype in the Jungian hero archetype. Right. And that's respecting and honoring the human individual, because a lot of times clothing can be used as a tool to judge. Oh, sure. It can make us be very superficial and shallow in our thinking. So when we bring in the Jungian archetypes in perceiving fashion and perceiving our own fashion, we're actually honoring everyone's outfits. It's not, we don't have to, and that's what you had said. There's peace here where people do judge, and if we don't dress the part, but we are allowed to dress freely. And truly, with the Jungian archetypes, you can find a homeless person on the street, and their fashion, you don't have to judge that person's fashion. Right. He's a survivor. Right. So we can respect, there's a whole piece with different types of archetypes in different types of people. For example, I'll give you one more example. A lot of times we look at a bohemian looks and we say, oh, he's a hippie or she's a hippie. Right. But instead of mocking someone as being a hippie, because not everybody wants to be a hippie, because there's so many connotations to what a hippie is. Yep. Drug addict, crazy person. And so instead of saying hippie, we can look at the person's dress and say, that's the innocence archetype.
Mm-hmm.
The innocence archetype outfit, that person's expressing the innocence.
Right.
Versus saying, oh, that person's just a hippie.
Right.
It's helping us. It's protecting us. It's protecting who we are. And when we respect other people's dress, and not everybody does this, but being in the fashion world, there's a lot of judgment.
Oh,
There's
I'm
a
sure.
lot of shallow superficiality.
Yep.
And that's what people are programmed and brainwashed to think in fashion marketing.
Yeah. Well, and so it's almost like if you've got clothing that you know is made from the proper fibers, that's going to be, basically helping solidify your health in your body, then it's sort of like that barrier that is protecting you from other people's judgment of like, it's helping protect me, and I can wear what I want because I feel great. So I don't really care what you think, versus if you're wearing something trying to fit in that is not of, the proper fabric and materials, and it's hurting you physically, and it's going to help bring that worry of, am I being judged, and what do they think of me, and all of those things. And so it's almost like it's a barrier. If you wear the right stuff, you've got a barrier to protect you from other people.
Exactly. And I don't know if you are interested in the subject of metaphysics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So basically with our wardrobe, what you had just said, there's a protective armor that we can use fashion to ward off negativity, to ward off evil.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on the material, the silhouette, the design, back in the day, the Europeans would mimic the temples, the church temples, and use the design features of the temples, and they would design their clothes to match the temple in order to seal the light force within the body. And there's a lot of epidemic here with a lot of demonic activity and negative spiritual warfare happening. So using our garment as a tool to protect the energy body, the mental body, the emotional body. And it can be as simple as our outfits.
Yeah.
In order to ward off the egotistic, low vibration behaviors and activities on this planet.
Right. And so you that brings in the frequency piece, because there is a frequency to everything. And one of the things I talk about a lot is making sure that you go out and you ground yourself into the earth and do that, practice and get into nature. And but I hadn't really thought about it from the standpoint of your clothing being part of that frequency as well. But I guess that all goes back to the type of fabric and the frequency you're getting from that, and how that's helping, your vibration and your connection to the things that are around you. Is that a good summation of it?
Yes. And I will add to that. When we wear plant-based fabrics, we're connecting with that plant-human connection. When you go out into the ocean or the desert or the wilderness, we have this incredible feeling of calm and serenity and comfort. And so when we wear those plants on our body, we're actually connecting with plant life. And plant life is consciousness. It has consciousness, and even broken down to the cellulose fiber, there's still consciousness within the plant. And with polyesters, which started in the 1930s by chemical giants like Monsanto, DuPont, Bayer, these chemical giants took over the industry and said, no, we're all wearing polyester. It's cheap to produce, it's quick to produce, and it's really taken over. But we have to understand, why are we wearing polyester? Why is everything, there's connections involved. I believe it's not necessarily conspiracy. I believe polyester is slightly toxic. And like I said, I respect it because I've survived off of polyester materials
Sure.
as a human being.
Sure.
But at the same time, why do these chemical giants produce all this polyester in the 1930s, and why are we diminishing plant-based fibers?
Yeah.
There's got to be a reason, and I have some idea that it's partly because of the New World Order,
Mm-hmm.
or just there's a disconnect. We've disconnected ourselves. There's a large disconnect, and we have to start connecting back to what we need. And plant-based fibers are definitely. I'm very passionate about plant-based fibers.
Yeah.
Because I know that it
is. I think it's important, and I think it's something that, like you said, anything that, from a food standpoint, I can relate to, like, if you're reading the back of a nutrition label for a product that's been processed and it says natural flavorings on there, almost everybody assumes natural flavorings means like, oh, okay, well, they took some extract out of, some fruits or vegetables or whatever, and to flavor it to make it taste better, to make it taste fruity or whatever. But natural flavorings literally means anything that occurs in nature. So it could be any chemical that's naturally found in the earth. It could be arsenic. It could be whatever, because it's natural and it's flavoring the product. Like, that's why it doesn't say on there apple extract, right?
Yeah,
like,
I didn't know.
And so, like, from the food standpoint, like, anything that's and it could be natural, but also, and it could also be, man-made, but it's naturally occurring. We just made it in the lab this time and put it in there, but it's the same stuff that's naturally occurring. We just didn't want to go dig it up or whatever. And anything that's chemically made or man-made is always going to have some toxicity to it. And I think that just anything that you can do to get away, as far away from that as possible, is going to be better for your health. And that's whether it's you're ingesting it or you're putting it on your skin or layering your skin with it. So I agree that, this shirt's probably got polyester in it that I'm wearing right now. And just because I didn't think that far into it before our conversation to go, oh my gosh, this is slowly seeping into my skin all day long.
Well, you don't have to be too alarmed, because in this day and age, we're just really immune to it. But at the same time, with polyester, they are finding polyester fiber in the bloodstream and in our feces. Mm-hmm. They're finding plastics. Yep. So we could be inhaling polyesters, and nanotechnology is a crazy thing.
Yep.
Nanotechnology is so tiny that it could go through the skin.
Oh, yeah.
So we have to be careful about nanotechnology. Mm-hmm. And that there's a lot of fabric treatments using nanotechnology. But back to what you had said with the natural flavorings. I can see your aura. You obviously practice what you preach. You're very healthy.
Yeah.
And you're lucky because you're on a very strong path with your health.
Right.
And not everybody is privileged to have that because they've been broken down and abused in this world.
Right.
So I say, just start with the little things. Start with the tiny steps. And I believe in acupressure. I believe in cardio. I believe in yoga. I believe in neurokinesis. I believe in plant-based nutrition and superfoods. I believe in all of those things. And part of being an energy healer is also being perceptive to the physical body.
Right.
And with my own path of having battled with health issues, it really connected me more and more to my fashion because it comforted my soul.
Oh, yeah.
clothing was something that comforted my soul. So when we use fashion as a way to love us and love our body and connect with us, we find the little nuances, fashion, say a zipper that's too tight, or a collar that's too tight, or a cuff that's squeezing on the wrist. If I went into my closet, I could probably find 5 pieces that are hurting my body.
Right.
With just those little ergonomic details, non-ergonomic details. And I still sacrifice in the name of fashion because I love that garment to pieces.
Yeah.
But what we do have to figure out is what garments are improving our bodies. What garment is going to make me the most productive of the day?
Yeah.
If I'm, squeezing or pinching or poking at the waist or the cuff of a garment or whatnot, or itching or scratching at a material, those are all little things that add up.
Right.
And distract us and make us uncomfortable. So I say too, ergonomic design is truly the future of the health of our bodies, because when we wear a garment that moves with our body 100% and is given to us in a very soothing, comforting way, that's when we have good health.
Yeah. So what about animal products? Clothing that's made out of it, like, leather or, other things that people are probably not wearing a lot of, but enough in their rotation. How is that affecting, their body, their aura, their health?
I did write about animal fibers in the book, and I didn't really say too much out of controversy. I don't want to, hurt anybody's feelings, but at the same time, it's always going to be niche. It's always going to be a minor industry. It can never be exploited, or else it's going to be very negative and toxic.
Right.
So it's always going to be a niche industry. I go back to the Native American Indians when they had to survive off of those skins. So some people have that survival drive where they feel like maybe it could be part of their survival of wearing the furs and whatnot and skin. I'm not against it, but it definitely has to stay minor no matter what. In terms of the frequency, when you combine cotton with wool, it has been said in research that it collapses the frequency of the body.
Oh, wow.
So we're dealing with a frequency issue when we combine plant-based fibers with wool fibers. It does something to the frequency, which is a very big deal.
Yeah.
So I also noticed this when I had a wool garment back in the day. I'm quite allergic to animal fibers. I get very itchy with wool, but I would force myself to wear it at one point because I was working at a wool fiber shop.
Oh, yeah.
So I would wear this and I'd be in torture all day long wearing it. But I did notice something about my frequency. It was like I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
There was a trap happening. There was a lack of breathability within my body. And as an energy healer, I was extremely sensitive to it.
Right. Yep.
So combining wool specifically with linen or cotton is not recommended.
Okay.
Because it collapses the frequency.
Yeah.
And may affect the body. In terms of other animal fibers, when I see a leather jacket on someone, it doesn't feel like an extremely high vibration, especially positive. I've been plant-based and vegan on and off for most of my life.
Yeah.
So I know that it's a process. And on this planet, people are in progress. It's transition.
Yep, I agree.
Now, I say if people want to wear those animal fibers, but at the same time, it's got to stay niche.
Yeah. Okay. But it's not other than the frequency. There's not like it is with the chemical side of polyester or anything else that's necessarily that could be damaging to us.
Well, there's a lot
otherwise.
of chemicals being used.
Okay.
In the tanning industry, leather tanning industry, there's a lot of chemicals being used.
Okay.
And even with silk, the energy of silk I don't believe is that pure, because it's the juices of a bug.
Right.
You're putting the juices of a bug on your body, and it has a weird vibration that's
right.
I don't think it's, I think I wrote 2 sentences about silk and the bug, which I know I'm going to be offending some people by writing 2 sentences about silk, but I've bought in like maybe under 5 garments that are made out of silk, and every time I put it on, and I got this weird vibe, and I'm like, whoa. And me and bugs don't resonate that well in general, but having the bug juices woven into a fiber and put in my body, it's a funny feeling. It's a funny feeling that disrupted my day. So I stopped wearing silk.
Right. Well, and I think that whether it's silk or polyester or anything else, like I think that's a big key for people to understand, is that if you don't feel right, like you don't have to continue doing it just because, you see it in the fashion world or it's the trendy thing to do. Like you said before, it's like, just because that's the case doesn't mean you have to keep doing that. If it truly is not feeling good for you, then stop, get rid of it and move on wearing something that does feel good. Just like with food, like if somebody told you that, blueberries were the best fruit in the world, but you can't stand blueberries, don't force yourself to eat them. Go find the nutrients from something else, because there's more options out there.
Exactly. There's thousands of different things that we can eat and thousands of different things that we can wear.
Yeah.
It's definitely an important point. Focusing on wearing the garments that you enjoy.
Right.
And that feel good for you.
Yeah.
And it can be very personal and very individual and unique. That's why I don't like to frown upon anything, there's definitely evil fashion and divine fashion.
Sure.
There's a
split.
difference.
Yep.
And it can be the material, the fiber, or a chemical dye, or the silhouette. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of egotistical silhouettes that actually play a power trip with other people. And when you see the garment someone's wearing, and you feel like, your soul's leaking out of you. Right. Yeah. To put it dramatically, then there's definitely an issue there.
Right. No, yeah, I agree. And I not being somebody in the fashion world or really even thinking about, like, because I basically wear the same shirt every day because it advertises my business. So I just, like, when I go out, I'm in. And it makes it easy for me. It's something that I heard that, Steve Jobs wore the same shirt all the time, and it was a decision thing. And it was just like, oh, one less decision I got to make. And of course, he had a closet full, and I've got a closet full of these shirts. But it makes it simple and easy, and white matches with everything. So I don't have to worry about the color of the shorts I wear. But, I can see that being like, if I see something, I'm like, whoa, that outfit doesn't, there's something about, or like you said, the silhouette of, like, if I just see something, I'm like, a lot of time, most of the time when I see it, it's, at the grocery store, when I see a magazine cover or something, and I'm like, oh, that one's odd. That's not, because I don't necessarily see it among the people that I hang out with or see, but yeah, I have had that experience. And I'm not even in the fashion world, so I'm not even judging things from that level all the time necessarily.
Yes. And back to your T-shirt, your shirt is, an expression of your soul. And the title name on your shirt could also be supporting your energy body and your mental body, because the symbol for you, and it's actually empowering your body and mind, and being able to also promote your business like that is very honorable.
Yeah.
So you're doing a very good thing. I would just like to mention that. And I had talked with a healer, and what he does is he places a bunch of numbers and symbols on a t-shirt, and it does some kind of frequency pattern, and the symbols placed on the body of the shirt, printed on the shirt, actually heals the body.
Oh, wow.
So he's playing with symbols and numbers, some kind of Egyptian communication language, placing it, printing it on the shirt, and it's actually like going through into the aura, into the energy body and the human body. So with your company name on your t-shirt, I bet you it's doing some types of energy work for sure.
Oh yeah. It definitely is. And I can see that not just in, how I am, but when I interact with others at networking events or in the grocery store or wherever, part of it I know is part of it. People see me and go, "Oh, you look healthy," but they see the shirt and they see it all just sort of fits and goes like, "Oh, this guy is," because I don't know how many people that have come up to me in the grocery store and that don't know me at all, don't have a clue, but they'll just ask me, "Is this healthy for me or not?" And I'm like, I'm just shopping. Like, I'm just like, but they have no idea who I am, but assume. And I obviously from the shirt that, they take the next step and logic goes, okay, this guy obviously knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's great.
So, which is one of the reasons why I do it. But the other reason, like I said, is just decision fatigue. It just makes it easy to just pick something and go. And I don't have to worry a whole lot about, because I've run into those situations where I can't wear something. I have to dress up. And it's like, okay, go to the closet and pick one of the shirts and like, okay, wait, this one doesn't fit right today. And, or wait, I didn't wash this shirt, so I can't wear those pants because they don't match, and that is a big emotional piece that I think if we can get past, it'll help a lot of people.
Well, it's Zen fashion, what you're doing, and decision fatigue is a serious thing. I would imagine too that your t-shirt is very ergonomic and comfortable.
Yep.
So there's no reason to wear anything else.
Right. Exactly right.
It works.
Yep. So, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you to learn more, or, how, do you have an Instagram? Do you have how would they be able to follow you, get in touch with you to learn more about what you do?
Yes. So, I just wanted to quickly show you, this is my book, Healthy Fashion, The Deeper Truths.
Yes.
And it's been out for a few months. So if you do want to check it out, it's called Healthy Fashion.
And where would they get it?
You can go on to Amazon, Barnes & Noble's, a whole host of bookstores.
Okay.
And if you want to get some more information about the book, you can visit my website at www.H as in healthy, F as in fashion, campaign. So that's hfcampaign.com.
Cool.
And I also have my social media on the header and footer of my website.
Okay.
So you can check out my social media. I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, and whatnot.
Awesome. And I'll link all that in the show notes as well, so they can, anybody that's wanting to listen or connect with you can just click on that as well, to be able to do that. So, I greatly appreciate your time and being able to talk to us and help us understand more about, it's not just what we eat. It's not just what we listen to and take in as far as the news and social media and things like that. But it's also what we wear that is a part of our health. And in a bigger aspect than just, are you comfortable?
Exactly.
There's a lot more to it. So
yes, exactly. No, I'm so happy that you have a deep understanding of it. it's always nice to meet people that have a deep understanding of.
Well, I appreciate it. I didn't know I did, so it's good to know that I do.
Yeah, you do, clearly. Yep.
Cool.
Great.
Well, thank you so much, Alyssa.
Thank you so much, Jerry.
Thanks for checking out the All in Health and Wellness Confidence Through Health podcast. Our goal is to use health as a conduit to help you reach your goals in life.
A little lighter than me. I'm about to black out. Her grip is getting tighter on me. I think I like it deep inside. I feel the fire in me. She like the milky, see me creaming to the coffee to me. She got soul in her sway.